Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik from Figured Out Productions. The following video is a video of some kind, and I hope you enjoy it.
Hey guys, it's Adam here, and welcome to PlayLoad. This is all my video game pickups for the month of July 2022. Before we get into it, and there's a lot to get into because this is one of those videos where not only do I have a bunch of stuff here, but there's a whole big pile of packages down here, so we're going to have to kind of cut it in two parts. Before we get into that though, if you guys could do me a favor, please like this video, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't done that already, and check out the social media stuff to hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, Patreon, all that sort of stuff. Thank you very much for the support. Now, let's get on with it. The first thing up is actually like a random pile of promotional material, and this is a weird one. This has a little bit, this is more of a story, is more interesting, I think, than the actual items, but we'll get into that. So in the summer of 2019, I was contacted by a company called Numbskull. They wanted to send me some sort of promotional kit for, at the time, it was Crash Bandicoot Racing, or Crash Team Racing, sorry. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, that kind of thing happens a lot of the time where you get contacted, people say they're going to send you something, and then either it happens or it doesn't, and honestly, you tend to forget about it. They sent it. They did their part. It only showed up now. And it wasn't their fault. It was clearly a postal thing. But there was this box. It came, it was all beat up. I had no idea what it was, so to make sure the contents were okay, I went ahead and opened it, and I looked inside, and I was just like, what the hell? And there was a note inside explaining what this was, and I was like, it all came back to me. I mean, we're talking about a package that was shipped out like pre-pandemic, man. So I even contacted the guy who sent it, and I was like, yo, a blast from the past. And he was like, wow. Because like, it's amazing that it took like 3 years for, literally 3 years for it to show up. But it did. And he doesn't even work there anymore, so he was like, whatever, man, just enjoy the stuff, I guess. So here's the stuff that it came with. This is the first thing I would show you, but it's broken. It's a mug. In Crash Bandicoot, you know, there's like those little boxes that Crash like jumps into, and you know, you get like power-ups and whatever. This is a mug that's in that shape, but it's like destroyed. Like it was cracked down that half. Like I told you, the box was not, I don't know where it was for 3 years and how it was mishandled, but yeah. I'm just stunned it ever got here, because they never hit me up about it. I never hit them up about it. It just, whatever. There was a different mug. There's this one. This one seems to be totally fine. It's a Crash Bandicoot, obviously, themed mug. This is all Crash Team Racing stuff, but I think at one time this stuff was for sale on one of their websites, but I'm guessing it's all long gone now. Just as a courtesy, I'll put a link in the description to Numbskull so you can check them out if you want. We got that. There was some fuzzy dice. There was this hat. This is actually a pretty cool Crash Bandicoot hat. And then some other just random things like, this is one of those box things I was talking about, like a mug. Imagine a mug like that, and so it's obviously hollowed out, and there was a handle, but yeah, so there's keychain there. And then this is another keychain in the shape of a trophy. We had some air fresheners. And then finally, some like drink coasters that are in the shape of wheels, and when you put them all together, it just looks like one big wheel. So even though it's very late, nevertheless, thank you to the guys at Numbskull for sending that my way. So yeah, beyond that, earlier this month, I was a guest at a convention in South Carolina called SCGE. So there's my little badge there and everything. It was the first time I'd ever been a guest at that con. Hopefully I get to go back again next year. Little manual, like guide thing about the event. There's a little bit about me in there. And there were a lot of guests in there, a lot of retro YouTubers as well. You would know Metal Jesus Rocks and Lazy Game Reviews. And, you know, there's so many people that were there. But anyway, so it was a fun time. But I was kind of married to my table the whole time. Because I had the Sega Pluto set up, so I was letting people play that, and one of the downsides of bringing that thing to conventions now is that I don't get to wander around the convention all that much. But, you know, I still got to do a little bit of that. Oddly enough, and this was not expected, it was not requested, it was just a bizarre thing that happened. While I was sitting there, there was a guy who came over to make conversation. He watched the channel, so thank you very much for that. But he came over, and at one point he just handed me these 3 music CDs. These are Crush 40 music CDs. Now, I am not a music guy at all. Like, I know nothing about music. Like, famously, Jason, Metal Jesus Rocks, makes fun of me for this because he's like, name songs, and anytime I try, like, he's like, how do you know that? And rather than being able to reference what it's originally from or whatever, I'm always like, oh, that was a song that was in such and such movie or such and such game. And he's not used to dealing, because he's a music guy, so he's not used to dealing with somebody who doesn't know anything about music. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is, I don't know anything about music. So, but the one thing I knew about Crush 40 was that they did all the music, well, not all the music, but a bunch of the music for Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. So as a result, a bunch of those songs are actually on these albums. So like Open Your Heart, Live and Learn, again, Open Your Heart. There's one literally called Sonic Youth, but I don't think that ironically has anything to do with Sonic, but I could be wrong because, once again, I don't know music. All the same, it was cool, this guy, to do that. So technically this is in the Sonic Adventure merch, like, adjacent, if you want to think of it that way, but there you go. Beyond that, though, the only games I actually picked up at the convention were all original Xbox games. As I've said many times in the past, my goal for the original Xbox is, I'm not going to say it's the last console that I want a complete set for, but it's certainly the one that I'm the most interested in having a complete set for. And while I've gotten all the international stuff out of the way, there's a whole lot of American stuff I haven't dealt with, so at cons, if I get the chance, I typically kind of go at it and get some. But I haven't put as much effort into it as much as I used to. But that said, I did pick up a few. So we got ESPN Baseball, which I think it's 2K4 specifically. Crime Life Gang Wars. Minority Report Everybody Runs, which of course is based on the Minority Report Tom Cruise, Steven Spielberg movie. But Tom Cruise famously didn't allow his likeness and stuff like this, so it's just generic guy. Apex, some sort of racing game. And Vex. I kind of remember this from when I was a kid, but not well enough to really say much else. I just kind of remember it existing. But yeah, that was all I picked up from the con. It was a fun convention, though. I hope I get to go back. Right after I went to that convention, I mean right after, like the next day, I ended up in Anchorage, Alaska. I mean, think about the map there. But anyway, so when I was up there, which was a totally separate thing, I was hanging out with the evil Rob Thanos. Who's on my podcast, which you guys should listen to if you haven't done that already. There'll also be videos on the Travel Channel about South Carolina and Alaska, and I also went to Europe, and there's videos about that as well. You guys should check that out. I'll put a link in the description. Please? Okay, thanks. Anyway, so when I was in Anchorage, we were just kind of hanging out. It was just kind of the bro trip, right? And while we were there, we kind of stumbled into a pawn shop. Nothing that we had too much interest in going to. There's not a whole lot of retro game stuff in Anchorage. There's 2 stores. There's one not so great one with good inventory, and then there's one good one that kind of lacks inventory. And when I say it's good, it's because like the people who run it know what they're doing versus people who don't. Let's just leave it at that. I'm not going to say specifics, but if you go watch the Travel Channel, eventually when that video comes out, you'll know which is the good one, which is the bad one. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So while we were up there, we were wandering around, we just stumbled into this pawn shop. Now, of course, we checked out the video games, which, to be honest, were kind of lackluster. It was mostly modern stuff and nothing very special, but a lot of them had great deals on Blu-rays. It was like, 3 Blu-rays for $5, and like we found a lot of rare, like, out-of-print DVDs and stuff like that. And so I picked up a bunch of good stuff, and we just kind of kept hopping around to these different pawn shops, because there's a lot of them up there. Plus, Alaska has no sales tax. 0. So like, oh, that's pretty cool. One of the stores we went into, when we walked in, like the first thing we saw was this sign that said all video games are 25% off. And that kind of piqued our interest for obvious reasons. We were like, okay, even if it's stuff that's just like whatever to us, 25% off makes it a little more encouraging. So we went through, we were looking at stuff, and he found a couple of games, and I found a couple of games. And one of the games I found didn't have a price tag on it. In fact, the game was sealed. So I was like, it's not a game I really wanted, but I was curious. So I would, the other games I had picked up were like $20 or $15 or whatever. But then you have to think again, there's 25% off of that. So it's kind of like, all right, cool. But like I said, one had no price on it. So I asked the woman working there, like, what it costs. And she looked at it and she's like, $5. And I was like, okay. Is it $5 and then 25% off, or is 25% off after the $5? She said, no, it's $5 and then 25% off. So it's, she's like 3, I guess. And I was like, okay. I don't think math was, to be honest, like really her strong suit. And I only say that because A, that's not, correct. But also, when we went up to the counter, I handed her this stack of games. And like I said, most of them, the first one here, which I'll show you in a second, was the one she said was 5. And then after that, each one of these, like this one actually still has a price tag on it, says 23. And this one I remember being like 15, and this one being like 15 as well. So she's sitting there and counting it all up, and she's looking at the tags on the side, and then she's like writing stuff down. And at the end, with this plus all my Blu-rays, she goes $18. And I was like, basically, she had charged a flat rate of $5 per game, then took off 25%, which in actuality was a little more than 25%. Actually, that would have been 40% off if you do the math on that, because yeah, that would have been 40% off of what she already thought was $5 base prices. So it was not a lot of money, and it was kind of stunning. And then when we walked out of there, Rob was like, "Did I hear your total correctly? How was it only 18?" Like, we're not just talking about these 4 games. Like, there was a stack of Blu-rays and everything. It shouldn't have been that way, but it is what it is. So yeah, he was pretty like, wow, okay, good luck, congratulations. But let me show you the games. The one that was sealed, that's triggered this whole thing, that had no price on it, was Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Now, I'm not the biggest Call of Duty guy by any stretch of the imagination, but I've always kind of enjoyed the single-player campaigns, especially the ones that have some sort of basis in history. I'm actually not a fan of the Modern Warfare stuff because I don't like how they just make up narratives. I typically like my Call of Duty to have some sort of historical frame. So like Call of Duty World War II would be the most recent one I genuinely enjoyed, but you have to, before that, you got to go all the way back to like Call of Duty 2 for me. But that said, the Black Ops ones I find interesting because they try to mix in like some history, like Kennedy did this, Reagan did that, whatever it is. This one I haven't played, but essentially I got this for $3 brand new. So whatever. Also a game called Earthfall. No idea what this was. It just looked kind of interesting. And it actually had a DLC voucher inside, which I expected to be redeemed, but it wasn't. So I got the whole thing. And then another game called Corvus, which is like some sort of like horror type of game, which is always kind of up my alley. So yeah, there you go. I got those. Now there was one last one, and this was where my luck ran out. So this is Outlast Trinity, which is of course all 3 of the Outlast games. And as I said, this one actually says $23 on it. Like I said, so she had it, just assumed it was 5 for whatever reason, and then knocked it down to 3. This is where the luck ran out. The discs weren't in it, and that was totally my fault. I should have checked and I didn't, but whatever. So yeah, I'm not complaining about it because I still made out like a freaking bandit there. But yeah, hey, what can I tell you? It was a good time hunting for games up there. So that out of the way. I also, earlier this month, I got a package from GG Retro Gaming. GG Retro Gaming is a store out in Sacramento, California. It's an online store. The guy sends me stuff like every month, and so it's just become almost like tradition at this point where he just sends me something and I show it to you guys. Usually he kind of picks my brain about like, hey, what do you need this month? Hey, what are you looking at? What kind of stuff are you collecting? And he'll either find something on his own, or he'll just kind of, or he just sends me something as a surprise. In this case, I don't remember exactly how this happened. I think I mentioned something about Treasure, the developer, and that's what did this. This is Sylpheed, the Lost Planet, which is a game Treasure made. They made Ikaruga and other stuff like that. Working Designs also did this, and this is just for the PS2. It's a shoot 'em up type of game. I do not have this, or at least I didn't until now. Not a super rare game or anything, but it's still very cool to have. So thank you very much to GG Retro Gaming for hooking me up with that. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check them out. There's also a coupon code there. You can get a nice little discount off the website. He's starting to get more into imports, so there's going to be a lot more Japanese stuff sold through there as well. So very cool. Now, that said, as I mentioned before, very briefly, I also took a trip out to Europe. I was out there in Portugal specifically. My girlfriend lives there, so she was going back to Portugal. I was just simply going with her and spending some time there. And I also had technically made a cameo in Dublin, Ireland for a couple of days. But I picked up some stuff while I was there, and I thought you guys would appreciate seeing it. So while I was in Portugal, I went into some mall. It's called I don't remember the name in Portuguese, but it translates to English mall. And it's just meant to be almost like a British or American style mall. And inside that, it had a video game section. So I explored it. I was looking at all the random games. I always typically look for the exclusives because there's no other thing for me to bother looking for in those areas. And I found a couple of PS5 games that I thought were kind of interesting. I didn't remember ever seeing them, and then when I looked them up, I couldn't find any record of these actually coming out here. Maybe they will at some point, or I don't know, but this is what I got all the same. I got Chernobyl Light, which actually looked like a pretty cool game. This did have a physical edition on PS4 here, but as far as I can tell, there is no PS5 physical. Again, that might change. But what also makes this one unique is it's the special Support Ukraine edition, because obviously Chernobyl is in Ukraine. So this, proceeds to this go directly to funding that effort. Not trying to get political or anything like that. I'm just saying that, that's an odd variant of something that you're probably not going to see again. So I did it for a multitude of reasons. I'm not going to claim they were humanitarian, but I like the idea that this is an oddball variant of something. It's exclusive to that part of the world, and the game just itself looked cool, so picked it up. The other thing I got was a game called Uoni Sunset Edition, which is a survival horror game, which I have a soft spot for. Now, despite the fact these came from Portugal, they're completely in English. In fact, they don't even have Portuguese on the back, which is something. This one I slightly regret getting, only because after I picked it up brand new, I saw it at multiple stores as a used copy. So I probably could have saved a little money on it, but not a whole lot, but some. So I kind of regret that. But whatever. Think of it this way. I just supported a developer. So there you go. Uoni now. Is it any good? Don't know. I haven't had the chance to play it. But it is, at this point in time anyway, a physical PS5 exclusive to Europe. Or at least it isn't out in North America. Let's put it that way. Now, that was it for the newer stuff. And then I got some older content. I went down to Lisbon briefly, and I was hanging out with a guy named Stuart. He's a video game developer, and he actually brought me out to record voiceover for a video game he's working on. But we also decided to just hang out and check stuff out. We went to the equivalency of a Goodwill, except a fancier one, and in there they had a tiny little video game section, and I found something I actually wanted, and I say that with quotations, and you'll see why. A PS1 game called Anastasia. Yeah, the Russian story. Fox did a movie on this, fairy tale-ish type of event. There's a lot of really bad late PS1 and PS2 games in Europe because of licensing issues. Essentially, Sony couldn't stop people from producing garbage. That was basically the long and the short of it. This isn't even a game. It's a really crappy little movie on a PS1 formatted disc by a company called Midas. This was €1, and Stuart paid for it anyway, so yeah, that was cool. I have a soft spot for these because I just think it's so insane. There are so many of these garbage releases. I just find them funny in the way I find and appreciate The Room, the movie. That's why I wanted it. So thank you to Stuart for the hookup on that. But as I said, not only did that curse affect the PS1, it affected the PS2, and I picked up a couple for the PlayStation 2. This is Countryside Bears by Phoenix, which again, garbage animated film directly on a PlayStation 2 disc. And then another one called Dinosaur Adventure. Look a little familiar? Look a little bit like The Land Before Time? Yeah. Phoenix just straight up did a bunch of rip-offs of other animated projects and said, oh, this is our stuff. It's hilarious how bad these are. Now, those didn't cost anything. They're €1 a piece. There was one game, though, that I put down some serious money on. And it was one of these situations where I saw it, and I would have regretted not getting it, and I regret getting it at the same time. It was a no-win scenario. It is a GameCube game. Now, my goal for the GameCube is, my collecting goal, I should say, is I want every GameCube game ever released that did not come out on the original Xbox. Which once you have that caveat in there, it gets a lot easier because a lot of stuff is removed. That also includes all the exclusive international releases. When it comes to Japan, I think I'm only missing like 3, which is surprising. But when it comes to Europe, they only ever had like 10 in the first place, and I had like 4 of them. There's not many that were ever out there, but the ones that were released are extraordinarily hard to find. I have a few that I've shown you guys over the years. I was not expecting to find one, but I did in a random CEX in Portugal. And I saw it and I went, why do you have to exist? Why do you have to tempt me? Why do I have to get this now? Because it was expensive, but it's also not something I should responsibly get, but it had to happen. Kokoto Kart Racer. It's like, you know, Mario Kart type of clone, exclusively in Europe on the GameCube. This is an extraordinarily hard game to find. In fact, it's funny, Kokoto, I think, is a French character originally. I'm not totally sure about that. But what's insane about that is, well, I said the GameCube only had like 10 exclusives in Europe, and like 3 of them are Kokoto games. There's Kokoto Funfair, and there's Kokoto Platform Jumper, which, funny enough, I have both of them already. So I had to complete the Kokoto trilogy, which I now have effectively done. I think there was even a Kokoto game on Wii U, which therefore I would also have because I have the complete set of that. So, whatever. Yeah, I got my Kokoto fix. Yeah, I don't want to tell you how much I paid for this. I was not happy with myself doing it. But one of the ways I justified it... Well, there was 2 ways I justified it. Well, let's be real. 3 ways. The first real way was, hey, man, you need that. Otherwise, your set ain't going to be complete. And then you're a complete loser. And all the people watching you would be like, wow, what a dork. They're only going to respect you and think you're cool if you have Kokoto Kart Racer, as obviously you all do. So that was point number 1. Point number 2 was when I looked online, it was an impossibly rare game to find. There was, I think, 1 listing out there, and it was like disc only, and it cost more than I was about to pay for it complete. So I was like, okay. And then thirdly, as I was in Europe, the euro was tanking. So the dollar was actually worth more than the euro, so as opposed to the other direction. So for me, it actually would have been a lot cheaper than it normally would have been. So I went, okay, Kokoto Kart Racer's coming home. And here it is, Kokoto Kart Racer. Anyway, so that was it for Portuguese game pickups. This is not a game, but it's game related. I should point out that, as I'm sure most of you are aware if you're in the US, you're kind of used to, when it comes to video games, you have the options of all the big boys. You know, you can go into a store, they'll have your Nintendo stuff, they'll have your Xbox stuff, they'll have your PlayStation stuff. Doesn't usually work like that in most countries. Most countries kind of pick a team, and at most you get like 2 choices. And this has happened to us as well, by the way. We're not just entitled jerks that get everything. I mean, like, for example, when we had the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo, technically the TurboGrafx 16 was here. It was a huge success in Japan as the PC Engine. It was released here, but you couldn't really find it. That's kind of the case that happens in a lot of countries. Like, it'll technically come out, but you don't see much of it. Such as Portugal, Xbox stuff is released, but you don't see a lot of it. Nintendo stuff is a little more prevalent, but it's a PlayStation country. You get my point? Well, back in the day, it was a Sega country, and you know, one of the few that was like, Sega is everything. We don't care about Nintendo. We don't care about anybody else. We just care about Sega stuff. So as a result, there's a lot of Portuguese Sega promotional material all the way through the Dreamcast era. And my girlfriend actually held onto a bunch of this stuff for some reason, so she decided to give it to me. This first thing up is this Portuguese Dreamcast promotional guidebook. It's just like a thick manual that's just got a whole bunch of ads and information about upcoming, or what was then upcoming, Sega Dreamcast games. It has a whole bunch of history about how it's based on the arcade hardware by the Naomi board. And it's got a bunch of pictures and information of a description of accessories, controllers, all that stuff, how the online system worked, breakdowns of the hardware, like as the Dreamcast compared to the PlayStation and all that sort of stuff. Now, unfortunately for me, it is in Portuguese, so I can't really read it, but it's still cool nonetheless, and it's got a nice little breakdown of Shenmue in the back, so I'm very happy about that. But the same type of thing was also available for the Sega Saturn. This is cool because you see a whole bunch of like just information. Some of these games never actually even came out, which is also cool. So you can see little bits and pieces of that. A manual for a Sega Mega Drive, like a complete, like just randomly, like the instructional booklet that came with it, and then a big guide from 1996 about what the Sega Saturn was going to have, which is interesting because it points out this Dragon Ball Z game. This is one of the only exclusives that Portugal ever had. Dragon Ball Z, even though I'm not an anime guy by any stretch of the imagination, never have been, never will be, even I know what Dragon Ball Z is. And Dragon Ball Z was and still is stupid popular in Portugal, to the point where there was a Sega Saturn Dragon Ball Z game that came out in Japan. Other than that, the only country that game came out in was Portugal. It makes for a very unique, exclusive release. I've had it for years. But yeah, it's included in the promotional material, making it a very unique release. But yeah, this also has information on Christmas nights and all sorts of stuff. There's a bunch of upcoming, at the time, Mega Drive games and Saturn games. As I said, some of these were never actually released. But that said, it's still very cool. So thank you to my girlfriend for that. Finally, and this is a little out of order, before I went to Portugal, I actually entered Europe by going into Dublin, Ireland, and I was there for a couple of days. Now, while I was there, there's actually a store there called The Rage. It's pretty much the only real retro game store in Dublin, at least that I could find. And I've actually done a video on that store like 6 or 7 years ago, if anybody wants to check it out. But it has since changed. They moved from the top floor to the basement, essentially, and they kind of reshuffled everything. But I wanted to check it out all the same, just to see what they would have. And I was really surprised because the dude had a massive amount of Commodore Amiga CD32 games. Now, if you're like, what the hell is that? Well, then welcome to the channel, because you've never been here before, because I talk about... This is the only channel where anybody regularly talks about the Commodore Amiga CD32. But the short version of that is it was a 5th-gen console, came out very early on. I think it was 93 specifically. And it came out to compete with what would eventually be the PlayStation and the Saturn. It got its ass handed to it, but it came out and failed spectacularly. But really, it was only released in the British Isles. So obviously the UK, the Republic of Ireland. It came out in mainland Europe as well, but really very scarcely, more so in the Scandinavian countries. And technically, it came out in Canada, oddly enough, but it never came out in the United States. So really, if you want games for it, the British Isles, very specifically the UK and the Republic of Ireland, are really your only two shots to ever find them. And in all the times I've been to those countries, I've only kind of chipped away at a title here, a title there. It's just something you just don't see much. This dude had a ton. He had like one just sitting out, and I thought, okay, so he's got one game, and it's the game I own. And he's like, oh, no, I got a whole box of them in the back. And I was like, what? So he brings out the box. He's like, yeah, he said, first of all, it was weird because he remembered me. He was like, Adam, is it? And I was like, it threw me off. Like, he remembered me from being in there for like 6 years earlier. I mean, probably because I did the video, to be fair, but whatever. But that said, he was like, yeah, it's too bad you weren't here like a week ago. He's like, this stuff was sitting here for like last couple of years. And like a week ago, a guy came in, bought the console, bought a whole bunch of the games, and just kind of left what he didn't want. So I got the leftovers, unfortunately. So I missed out on probably a lot of the good stuff. But that said, I still got a lot of games, and I'm very happy with, because for me, the Amiga CD32 is mythical. It's something you never are able to find here. I never see games for it. So anytime I see a game for it that I don't have that is reasonably priced, I just get it. Because you're never gonna find that. So yeah, I grabbed everything I could. This whole stack, I'm not even gonna do close-ups of this because it's just insane. This whole stack is just demo discs from the Amiga CD32 magazines. Zines, plural. There were multiple. I think all of these are from one magazine. These two are from a different magazine, and then these two are from a different magazine. Some of these are weird because they like have just demos of the games, and some have entire games on them. Because the Amiga CD32 was essentially a Commodore Amiga, just in a consoleized form, so it was very easy to just bring stuff over to it. So there was a ton of games that were basically public domain games that they would just throw into compilations and just give away for free on these demo discs. PD games, and it just lists out a ton of them. And they're all just sitting on these demo discs. So there's a ton of games for the Amiga CD32 just because there was a ton made for the Commodore Amiga line. But the demos aside, here's what we got. We got a game called Death Mask. No idea. CD Exchange Volume 1. which the ultimate CD collection designed especially for the CD32. It has clip art and game selector and sound station. It seems more like an app than an actual game. Then we have one called Game Massive. It's Game Massive, the essential CD32 collection. And it has a whole list of games that are on it. There's like 20. Some of these that have like individual releases. There's a version of Tetris on this. You know, like there's a whole bunch of stuff there. Sensible Soccer. Syndicate. This one was disc only, but I still that's how hard it is to find CD32 stuff. I'll even pick up disc only games if it's affordable, just because you just don't find them. This one's called Benefactor. Somebody clearly loved it because there's a whole bunch of codes or something written on the back. Super Frog. Nick Faldo's Championship Golf, which just reminds me of that episode of The Simpsons. Yeah. Frontier 2 or Frontier Elite 2, which actually came with these big manuals, which clearly means it came in a bigger case at some point. And then finally, a game called Power Drive, and I'm imagining Frontier Elite came in this type of case at one point, but this is a racing game. So, yeah, I got a nice Amiga CD32 haul because you don't usually find that. Sorry about that, but as you can see, lots of stuff on the table, and yeah, it's gonna take a little bit of time. So some of the stuff I know what it is, some of the stuff I have no clue at all. We'll get to it. This first one up, I have less than no idea. This came from the UK. I wasn't expecting anything from them. Whatever. Let's just dive in. Hopefully it's actually something video game related, not like, I don't know, who the hell knows. But let's just open it up and find out. Let's see, what's in here? We have a cardboard box. Yeah, I guess that was to be expected. Opening this up here. Inside it's some sort of, oh wow. Shadow Gangs. That's a Dreamcast game. Upcoming Dreamcast game. And inside it's like a promo kit for it. The art of Shadow Gangs, which is cool. It's like, it's just, obviously it's a bunch of artwork for it. Okay, I had no idea what this was going to be. This is pretty cool. We couldn't have done it without you. This game exists because of the support of passionate Dreamcast fans like you. Be sure to let us know what you think of it. And then it's signed by, I want to say, Ali Jacon. I'm sorry, I can't read that. It's an autograph. And then inside we obviously have a copy of the game. I was not expecting that. And you'll see why in a second. But, yeah, inside we have, it looks like we got 2 copies, I think. No, sorry, we have the Japanese style case there, and we have the original soundtrack for the game. So yeah, stay tuned because obviously since it's a Dreamcast game, I'm going to do a video about it specifically. But yeah, you guys will get the nice little review there. But yeah, thank you to, I guess it was Wave that must have sent this. It doesn't say on there. I know that Wave is in the UK, so I guess that would make sense that it came from them and they were the publisher, but very cool. Well then, that creates a bit of a quandary for me because the next package up, I'm pretty sure came from Wave, and I think it might actually be the exact same game. So let's take a look here and find out. Yeah, let's. Yep, this is yet another copy of Shadow Games. Although this is the PAL version, which again is purely cosmetic, but now you guys can see both. We have the Japanese style art and the European style artwork on there. That's very cool. I was not expecting... I was kind of pretty sure that that one was going to be Shadow Gangs, but I was not expecting this big thing to also be Shadow Gangs. But like I said, this will get its own video, its own Dreamcast video, so yeah, stay tuned for that. But very cool. Now I can actually show you guys more of the stuff about it when we get to it. So thank you to the guys over at Wave for sending that my way. But like I said, its own video is coming. But I'll put a link in the description all the same if you want to check it out now. So we'll move on. This one just showed up, and I have no idea what this is. This came from a guy in Texas, but I didn't order anything from Texas, so I don't know what this is exactly. So hopefully when I open it up, this will ring some sort of bell. As I mentioned in the first part of the video, sometimes, you know, like people or even companies will say like, hey, we're sending a thing, and then it doesn't come for a long time and you just kind of forget about it. So we'll see if this is one of those situations. Okay, it's just, whatever it is, it's small. Bag in a bag. And I see a note, so that's always helpful. Inside we have, oh, look at that. It's a it's like a Sega keychain, looks like, for the Sega 60th Go 60 or Go Sega anniversary, which was cool. I actually did some videos for Sega at the time. The note says, "Hi Adam, sorry it took me months to send this. Been working a lot. This keychain makes a few Sega sounds. I've been enjoying your channel for 10 plus years. Thanks, Ahmed." Oh, well, thank you. Keychain. This rings a bell. I think, if I remember correctly, man, I wasn't expecting this to be the thing. I kind of vaguely remember Ahmed messaging me like last year. I want to say like November or December of last year, saying that he had picked up this Sega keychain and that he was going to send it to me. And obviously he eventually did do that. So wow, that was really cool of you. Obviously, hopefully I can put it back there. I don't know. I'll see if I can fit it somewhere. But I almost don't want to take it out of the packaging because I just kind of like the artwork that goes with it. But either way, very cool. Ahmed, thank you very much, man. You didn't have to do that. Thank you. And that goes for anybody. You don't have to send me stuff. I appreciate it, but don't ever feel like pressured or anything to do that. But thank you nonetheless, Ahmed. That was very nice of you to do. Okay, so next up, I do know what this is, and this is also something that's going to get its own video, but I figured in the meantime I would just give you guys a teaser because I think it's pretty neat. This comes from my buddy Justin, who runs a website called Power Up Gaming. He does a lot of console repairs, but also mods and all sorts of stuff. And so this is something he was working on that he sent my way. So let's take a look at it here before I eventually do a whole video on it. Get the paper stuff out of the way. And here it is. This is, if I can get past the bubble wrap there, this is the GBA Consolizer. This is a pre-built Game Boy Advance in the form of a console. So it has, I think it has native HDMI out, which if I can ever get past this bubble wrap, I'll be able to show you. There we go. Okay, so yeah, there it is, the GBA console, which is kind of a nice little shape. It's in the shape of an actual GBA, but on the back it has a HDMI mini output, which is obviously what this is for, is a little adapter. And then this button, I'm not entirely certain what this is for. I'll have to figure that out, but that looks like a power switch and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, I'll take time and tinker with this later. This will get its own video, and you guys will see that down the road. But for now, just kind of know that this is coming. There's a GBA Consolizer video. It's cool. It actually it uses a Super Nintendo controller port as the interface, so you can use Super Nintendo controllers on it. Which, honestly, if you ask me, the GBA is the sequel to the Super Nintendo we never exactly got. But if you're interested in this or anything else, Power Up Gaming, I'll put a link in the description. You can check it out. Like I said, Justin does a lot of great work. I've done videos on a lot of his stuff, and he's done a lot of repairs for me too. He's a really good guy. So yeah, I'm looking forward to checking that out. Next up here we have a package that I'm pretty sure came from Turkey or Turkiya. I think that country just changed its name technically. Yep, it's the Bahar Bros. They sent me two things, and my hoodie really liked that bag. Yeah, so what do we got here? I'm pretty sure I know what this is. But again, this is another thing where it's going to get its own video, so I'm just going to kind of tease what we've got here, just so you guys can see it first, and then eventually you'll get the intimate, detailed look at it. This, inside, we have... Everybody's packaging their stuff too well. Okay, nothing else in there. We got more foam and stuff we got to cut through. Do that. And, okay, I doubt this was what they intended to send me. This is just a jar of Sorel. Okay, wow, that's an old reference. This is like Nutella, but like the real stuff. Nutella is like the McDonald's equivalency of chocolate hazelnut spread. This is the real one. Technically you can get this in the UK, but it's nowhere near as good. This is the actual authentic Turkish one. This stuff is incredibly good. I guess they wanted me to get fatter. I'm sure that was the whole point. But that's actually not... I just picked that at random. I didn't realize that was going to be in that. I think the real thing is in this other smaller box. Thank you to the Bahar Bros. They didn't have to do that. But they sent me this. And this is what's... The Sorel's not getting its own video. This is getting its own video. This is a new HDMI dongle that the Bahar Bros have designed for the original Xbox. What's cool about this is that not only does it support HDMI out, it also supports component out, which I think makes it the only one to do that. It also has the SPDIF port, so you can have the superior audio if you want. Like I said, this will get its own video. This is just kind of a teaser for the moment, but know that this is coming. And if it's anything like the Bahar Bros' previous work, this is going to be good. This will be great because if this is up to snuff, and it probably is because they're very good at that, this will be the thing to recommend. It'll be, instead of the pound cables, which are not well built, or there was the Chimeric one, which is great. It's just impossible to get because the guy can only make like 8 at a time every month, and the wait list is too long. So if this is good, this would be a great thing to be able to recommend to people. So stay tuned. That video will come at some point, and then you guys can see that in action. So thank you very much to the Bahar Bros for that, and of course for the Sorel. I got a couple other packages here, and I think these are going to be the exact same thing. But so because I think that, I'm going to start with the one I'm not 100% certain of. That'll make more sense in a second if I can get through the packaging here. Okay. Okay. Bust that open. Yep, that's okay. With you. All right. Yeah, this is exactly what I thought it was. So, as you guys might know, I'm a bit of a Shenmue fan. I don't know if that ever gave it away, or me talking about it for years ever gave it away. Even though there's a lot of people who didn't like Shenmue 3, I loved it, and I've already talked about that extensively. That said, one of my quests was to try and get every version of Shenmue 3 that was released. This is the Hong Kong-specific PS4 version. Now, what's the difference? Nothing. It's just cosmetic. It's just the difference on the case, essentially. But it is one of the harder versions to find. So I found a guy on eBay who actually had a copy in stock, so I went ahead and got it. This is exactly the same thing. I originally was trying to get it from PlayAsia, and I ordered 2. And the reason I ordered 2 was I wanted one, and my buddy James wanted one as well. But it was cheaper to ship them together. At least that was the plan. So I ordered 2 from PlayAsia, and then they messaged me and they're like, sorry, we only have 1 in stock. So I guess this is it. And so I was like, okay. So they sent it, but they sent it at the cheaper shipping, which was nice, I guess. But then I had to go find a second copy, and there was only one guy on eBay with a copy, so I made him an offer, and he took it, and whatever. So yeah, now both of us will have that. And I think, with the exception, there is a Brazilian release of this. That's the only one I'm aware of that I don't have. I even have the Russian version of Shenmue 3 on PS4, but I don't have the Brazilian one. Are there any Brazilians watching? Because I tried to order it from Amazon Brazil, and they will not ship to the US. If anybody's out there who can get stuff from Brazil, I'd like to get that. That's the one thing. Unlike the keychain and all the other things where I say you don't have to send me that, do send me that. I'll pay you. I just want it. I can't get it ordered here. Anyway, so now I have that. And this one I'm not even going to bother opening because I know that's what that is, and that now belongs to James. So the last thing we have here is this package. This comes from a guy in my Discord who goes by the name Lodmot. We always joke that he's the wealthiest person any of us have ever encountered in the history of the universe. Canonically, within the lore of my Discord, he makes $200 million per hour. Now, whether or not that's actually true is debatable. but regardless, it's just kind of an old joke. Anyway, so he, for some reason, took it upon himself to send me something. I have no idea what this is. It's relatively heavy, clearly big, and yeah, so I guess we'll just open it up and find out. It's also clearly 2 boxes, like, wedged together for some reason. I don't know why, but let's find out. I have no clue. I have less than no clue what this is going to be, because he didn't tell me at all, so, for all I know, he's just giving me garbage. I have no idea. That or it's a pile of money, and like I said, he's very, very wealthy, so maybe he just sent me bars of gold. I have no clue. They sent me a paper bag. Okay. Anything in the paper bag? No. This is Lodmot's sense of humor. He sends me an empty bag. Oh, there's something else in here that's actually real. Okay, hold up. And that seems to be the bulk of it. And there's some games or something. Okay, let's take that out. What is this? It's a cable, and then, well, there goes the box. I think this is, what is this? I have no idea what this is. A tape player, AC battery? It's music related, which is why I don't know anything about. I think these are 8 tracks. He sent Superman the movie, the score. I think this is an 8 track of it. And Video Arcade Night, which is just video game music. And then the Adam Koralik mixtape, which has a picture of me on it, presumably as president of Sega. This is funny enough. You can look this up. There is a LinkedIn page with this profile on it that says that I'm the president of Sega. I'm not, but it says it. It all comes full circle, man. What's one of the songs on here? Open Your Heart by Crush 40. I was not expecting that. But yeah, it's got a bunch of stuff on it, but I think that's what these are 8 tracks. I'm not a music guy, so I think he sent me an 8-track player, but I don't even see a way to put the cassettes in it. Oh no, here they are. Is that how it goes? It goes like that? Yeah, you're gonna have to forgive my ignorance, man. I've never used one of these before. Like, this is... Okay, it goes in like that, and then you can have the official Adam Koralik 8-track mixtape.
Hey, welcome to the Adam Koralik world.
Hey, Adam. How you doing?
Hey, it's me. You remember?
This is your world, Adam.
This is how rich Laudmont is. He's keeping 8-track alive. The dude made custom 8-track cassettes. I might have to give that a listen later. I wasn't exactly expecting to be listening to 8-track today. But thank you, Laudmont, for doing that. That was very cool of you. Yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you to Laudmont. Thank you to the Bahar Bros. Thank you to Justin. Thank you to Ahmed. Thank you to Wave over for sending me over Shadow Gangs. Thank you to GG Retro Gaming for the other stuff earlier. Thank you to the Rage for giving me a nice deal on that Amiga CD32 stuff. Thank you to Numbskull for all the Crash Bandicoot stuff, even though it wasn't your fault, but it took forever to get here. And just, yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you guys could do me a favor, please like, comment, subscribe. Also go on the social media stuff, hit up that Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, Patreon, etc. I appreciate that. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.